YouTube. This is the Gentleman Scholar, otherwise known as Gary. I'm here in the Zero Room once again. Over there, the 3 comic boxes that all of my filed comics went back into. And you know what really sucks? I mean, when you're trying to collect something, I just kept noticing odd holes in the collection. You know, I'm collecting mostly DC these days, ever since they started their rebirth line about 2 years ago. And I've been following several titles like Batman, Superman, Action. And of course, they come out every 2 weeks now, so it's kind of hard to keep track. It's kind of hard to keep track which is, do you already get this or not get this issue? And it doesn't help that they have variant covers. Variant covers, as the name implies, more than one cover for issue. It's basically a gimmick to get collectors to get every single last one, and that's a practice that started in the 90s with the gold embossed covers. You know, back in the days of Image and Image Comics and these muscle-bound superheroes, muscle-bound, steroided-up superheroes that, you know, were extreme and they shot people in the face and they killed. And that was, you know, not your father's type of superhero type thing. And looking back, that's almost quaint now. But I digress. Anyway, I just want to say, this month is Superman's 80th birthday. And as a result, they put out Action Comics number 1000. And I remember getting the 500th issue back in the 80s. And it was kind of like an artist jam type thing. They had different people doing, you know, different stories on here. In this one, I didn't mean to pick up 2, but 2 kept ending up in my hand, strangely enough. So you've got the Golden Age version. Yes, that's right. Comics have been split up into ages now. I won't bore you with that, but I will list them out. There's a Golden Age version that emulates, you know, World War II, smash the Axis, buy war bonds and stamps. Okay? The Golden Age was basically 1939 to, I want to say, early 50s. I don't know the exact date. It's when pretty much the Flash and Green Lantern, all that got revamped. When their Golden Age counterparts got almost wiped out of existence by a book called The Seduction of the Innocent. But that's a digression we can't afford right now. So anyway, and I got the other version. This is the Silver Age version. And this is the Silver Age is when an editor by the name of Mort Wessinger decided that Superman should have, well, related characters around him, like a super family. And if you look around, you'll notice you have Supergirl down there. She was one of the first created. They did a test run on a female Supergirl a couple months before they introduced Kara Zor-El, his cousin from Krypton, Argo City. It survived Krypton's explosion, you know, because cities do that apparently. They just fly out whole. Then, of course, you see Bizarro right there. The square planet that he comes from, the Daily Planet crew. Over there's the bottle city of Kandor. That was this green guy here, Brainiac, shrunk the city of Kandor before its destruction and kept a whole bunch of collected cities from other planets. And, of course, Superman defeated him and rescued the dark city, the bottled city of Kandor, and kind of kept it in his fortress of solitude. And the Kryptonians are still down there under a red sun projector, so they don't actually have superpowers. But in the Silver Age, it took them a long time to figure out how to get them up to size. I don't know if he ever did. Of course, that key over there turns his fortress of solitude. Over there is Krypto the Super Dog, introduced when he was Superboy in Smallville, because, you know, before Superman became Superman, he had to be Superboy. And instead of, like, dodging out of Lois's identity discovery tricks, he had to just dodge out of Lana Lang's identity discover tricks. So, yeah, I kind of like that Silver Age stuff, although I have to be in the mood for it, because comics were basically fun back then. And sometime in the 80s, they had to get all serious, they had to get all gritty, they had to match reality, an unpleasant reality, as close as humanly possible. And again, Watchmen, hold on, I can pull that out right. I know exactly right where that is. Pull that out. I love Watchmen as much as the next guy, don't get me wrong, but it's got a lot to answer for as far as darkening up superheroes. But it's pretty much the Citizen Kane of superheroes. And when it was a big thing when it was coming out at the time. And I read it once every couple of years or so, but it's dark and depressing. If you ever see the movie, you'll know what I'm telling you. You get the basic gist. But it's a great work, written by the great Alan Moore. But like I said, it just made superheroes very, very, very depressing. And Frank Miller's Dark Knight, The Dark Knight Returns, basically the last Batman story, and it was way, way ahead of its time. Because of that graphic novel, you got the Batman movie with Michael Keaton. You got the Batman animated series that came out in the 90s right after it, which was groundbreaking in itself. But all right, I'll do some shout-outs here. Olive Wood Piper, he just put a video out, so I'm looking forward to seeing that. He's a pipeman from Brooklyn, and he tells stories about his Brooklyn childhood, which I'm always happy to hear. Of course, I Am Dreyer. He finally gave me the meanings of the two words the two Scots words that I completely screwed up on. And I thought I had Scottish vernacular down pretty well, but I guess I don't. Anyway, always good to see him. Good, G-U-I-D. Always good to see him in his videos. Beerbeard, of course, as always. Beerbeard. You can just keep making videos, and I'll keep happily watching them. So, I like your videos by the fireside, but looks like when summer comes, we're going to get you outdoors with Ziggy. And hey, just chat away, because it's always a pleasure hearing your ruminations. Who else recently? There's one more person on the tip of my tongue. Oh yes, Cobbett of the Shire, Stephen. Just a cheery chap. He's lights up his pipe and he'll tell you a story. He does a lot of writing, and he reads you his stories from time to time, which makes me feel even guiltier for not getting off my tuchus in writing. Although I've been doing more of it lately. Well, my whole thing is like when I write. I like to write stories that connect and go somewhere. But the thing is, I get enamored with an idea, but how do I sustain that idea? How do I turn this scene into a story type thing? And of course, when I'm sitting there watching a show that I like a TV show, like I say, oh, that wouldn't it be cool if this happened or that happened or this happened, and I could use that idea to do this. And of course, when I sit down in front of a blank piece of paper, do any of those ideas stick around? Of course not. But believe me, in a lifetime of reading stories, both comic and just reading in general, it'd be nice if some of those magic words could come out and I could spin some tales of my own that people would want to read. Not saying I want to be a Stephen King. The thing is, I'm just a lazy person. It takes work to write. It takes work to edit. So I'm like, I just want it to be fun all the time. Which, of course, Stephen King, he wrote a book on writing. I'm looking at it right now. And very inspiring, but he says writing's work. It's work. The muse isn't going to come out and dance for you. He's more like this guy. He's more like the plumber that comes around with a stubby cigar. He goes down into the guts of your writing, looking at the plumbing. He bangs around with his wrench from time to time, and you just keep writing, and then you'll be inspired for half a second and come out with a great piece of writing, and then he'll go back to banging around again. The muse isn't this little Tinkerbell pixie thing that spreads dust on you, and all of a sudden you're, I want to write a whole bunch of stories, and they're going to be amazing, and everyone's going to they're going to want to read them, and they'll become TV properties, I'll make millions on the script. No, that kind of thing. But, I guess I'm just trying to figure out my methodology of how to create a story. And I did the same thing with Christmas cards, back in the 90s, that's an act of creativity that I look forward to every year. But, like I said, back in the 90s, I wanted to do my own Christmas card, and I couldn't find anything goofy or weird enough, so following that punk rock ethos, if you don't like something that's commercially available, and around the time of punk, it was music and fashion, then you do it yourself. You make your own. So just, as it's right within reach here, I'll show you this year's Christmas card. Ugh. It's based, there it is. It's based after an issue of Adventure Comics that introduced Superboy to the Legion of Superheroes. Of course, I can't find that right off the bat. So, but yeah, I just kind of, that's the master copy, and of course, I sent it out to Vistaprint to shrink it down, and then make my cards out of it, and then send them out. And inevitably, I always forgot people, but I enjoy doing Christmas cards. I enjoy sending them out, and I actually do like Christmas. I do believe in Christmas, and that not so much, maybe not in the strictest Christian sense, but I do believe that it's one time of the year where, you know, maybe we're a little more joyful and welcoming, and a little more couthy, a little more warm to each other than every other year. It's a time for remembering friends and family, and I think that's pretty much in the spirit of Christianity, so I just make my own cards. I just wish I would have saved copies of them over the years. It would have been fun to put a portfolio together. But over the years, I just kind of kept making cards like that. I have no idea what to do this year. I'm probably gonna stay away from Trump this time, because he's almost just too easy of an inspiration. But I don't know. I have zero ideas this year so far, but we'll see how it goes. I cast around for inspiration, like stuff that I used to love as a kid. You know, either cartoons or last few years it's been comic covers that I've been revamping. So I don't know. Excuse me. This year it might be the Schoolhouse Rocks cartoons. You can tell that gives away my age right there. I'm a Generation Xer. Embo 24. I wanted to mention Embo 24. Fellow pipeman, also collected comics back in the day. I'd like to know what he read, what he collected, that kind of thing, and if he's still keeping it up now. So, Mike, if you're listening, feel free to just geek out on all the comics that you collected and or probably still collect. Sorry, I interrupted my own train of thought. Yeah, so like, I might use Schoolhouse Rocks this year. Schoolhouse Rocks were like these little educational cartoons that kids my age, like Generation X, kind of grew up with. You know, conjunction, junction, what's your function? They split it up into history, grammar, mathematics. History, mathematics. And that was probably the most famous one. Conjunction, junction, of course. I'm just a Bill sitting here on Capitol Hill. Poor little Bill was sitting there waiting to be voted into law. Simpsons had a lot of fun with that one. So I don't know. I might do that. To do my pseudo-political commentary. I don't know, I'll have to see what tickles my muse this year. Alright, anyway, it's going on 14 minutes. We all have things to do. We all have busy lives. I hope you're all doing well. And take care of yourself. All the best.